All right, everybody, just wanted to record one more video for tonight. This is part 3, problem 2. It says y equals negative absolute value of negative x plus 1, all plus 1. This is from the homework due on Wednesday. So I did problem 1, and just like in problem 1, I would go ahead and rewrite this to be y equals, this negative is just there, absolute value of, and in here, I'm going to factor out a negative 1. So I got negative 1 times x minus 1, close parentheses, plus 1. Now, if you think about it, this negative 1 right here doesn't do anything. Let me say why. Because we know the parent function of this is absolute value of x, and we know that absolute value makes everything inside the absolute value bars positive. So if you're multiplying by negative 1, what's really happening is, yes, you multiply by negative 1, but then you got the absolute value bars, which say make it positive. So if when I solve this, I get negative 3, multiply it by negative 3 is positive 3, my answer is still positive 3 from inside the absolute value. If on the other hand I get positive 3 in here, positive 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, but the answer is positive 3 because of the absolute value bars. So what I'm saying is this negative sign does absolutely nothing because the absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1. So it's not affecting it at all. This negative, however, does affect it. This is a vertical transformation, a reflection over the x-axis. How did I know that? It was outside of the parenthesis. It was outside of the argument, right? This negative is outside of the argument. Remember, the argument is y equals absolute value of x. This negative is out here. It's outside. The minus 1, of course, is a horizontal shift rightward by 1. Horizontal because it's with the x, it's inside the action. Right because we do the opposite of what this says. This says negative, we do the opposite. This out here is a plus 1. This is outside, so it must be a vertical. It's a shift, and it goes up by 1. Vertical, we do exactly what it says. Let me zoom out a little bit. Just to recap, step 1 was factoring. This negative 1 is meaningless because absolute value of negative 1 is 1. This is a horizontal shift right by 1. Horizontal because it's inside the parentheses. This is a vertical shift up by 1. Vertical, it's outside the parentheses. This negative outside the absolute value bars, outside the argument, outside the parentheses. Vertical transformation, to be more specific, reflection over the x-axis. To verify this, feel free to graph this on your calculator and compare it to this. Let me zoom out one more time.